Forever. Dog.
I was actually at a bowling alley the other day, and I actually saw Joe Rogan there. He was getting his hair done.
He put his head in the ball cleaner.
In the ball polisher. He goes there. That's his beauty parlor. Gets a little buff, gets a little and then snaps it on his head, one last snap, and then he's ready to talk for 5 hours about comedy.
But when he talks for 5 hours, he says like 7 words because he speaks slowly, right? Didn't you point that out?
But he's so boring. One of the biggest sins this clown commits is that he's boring. He's boring.
Yeah.
He's a bad broadcaster.
Alex Jones isn't boring.
No, he's good. I like him.
I like what he's going to say. Hey, Julie, it's me, Alex Jones.
The men
How's
with
it
the
going?
2 shortest necks I've ever seen. It just
I was
goes
talking
head.
to Jimmy Jazz the other day. I got him new venison.
You got him.
I can't do it in my voice. I won't have a voice for the show if I talk like that for 30 more seconds.
I would actually love to compare Jimmy's diet with Joe Rogan's diet.
Yeah.
And then Joe Rogan finds out that Jimmy eats more meat and he like has a nervous breakdown. It's like,
Yeah.
you gotta eat more meat than cats.
Or he gives Jimmy a show on his little podcast network.
That's all I need. That's all I need is for my cat to have more listens than I do.
Yeah, Jimmy Jazz becomes the new Tim Dillon.
Who's Tim Dillon?
Who's Tim Dillon? Oh, Julie.
To be as blissfully unaware.
If I could, this is like eternal sunshine right now, and I wish I was where you're at. I wish I could get my brain back to where you're at, because I know too many of these characters.
And they're not the Legion of Skanks.
No, they're not the Legion of Skanks. You'd pray for the Legion of Skanks after you get a taste of that community.
Really?
You'll be begging Big J to put his fingerless gloves on and pick up a microphone.
You say the word Big J and finger anything, and
yeah.
I like fingerful gloves.
You like gloves that have I like gloves the way that they were originally designed with to cover my fingers.
Yeah, when you think about it, the palms are probably the warmest part of the hands.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fingers, the extremities that
the
are more inclined to get cold.
The tootsies. You keep your tootsies. Well, you're gonna have toeless socks next, right? What do you have? Toeless socks? I'll let your toes poke through. Let your tootsies poke through.
So Jay Okerson has these fingerless gloves.
Yeah.
Now, is that not only do those gloves make sure your fingers are cold, but they also make it so that you have to leave fingerprints at the crime.
Yes, which I feel like is a huge blind spot for the fingerless glove community, because they're probably, and I'm not trying to generalize here, but I think the stats bear me out. If you wear fingerless gloves, you're 8,000% more likely to commit a crime. And I think I have no actual proof on that, but I'm going to stick by that number as if it's a fact, because that's what everybody else does these days.
Mm-hmm.
That's my new stat. If you wear fingerless gloves, you're 8,000% more likely to commit a crime.
Did you realize that at the murder scenes of Robert Durst, rest in power,
he got murdered?
His victims.
They murdered Robert Durst?
I think he got in the grand scheme of things, yes. He was taken from us.
He was taken.
But did you know that his crime scenes only had toe prints?
Well, then that's those sockless toes, those toeless socks.
And he was going, I'm Twinkle Toes.
He was Twinkle Toes Durst.
But they said, we don't like that title. So they said, all right, we'll call him the Jinx.
Yeah. Ba-da-ba-da-bum. He's the jinx. Always causing trouble. He's the jinx. I'm the jinx. Always causing trouble. I'm the jinx. The jinx.
Is that like if it that
Created by Julie Klausner.
I was gonna say, is that like the kind of show if the Jinx were created in like the 70s and Jack Klugman starred as him, it would have that theme song?
I picture it as being just like Robert Durst is a guy who retires because what was he, a doctor?
No, it was a real estate. It was a real estate guy. I think.
That's right.
Oh God, could you imagine going to see the doctor and he comes in putting a glove on,
burping,
saying, "How was your weekend?"
Okay, let's
Work's been
wide.
good. This is what my doctors say
Open
to me.
that
Work's been
mouth.
good. You busy? Open that mouth. What doctors are you going to?
None.
The same ones that say, "Let's get that shirt off."
Yeah, the same ones that go, look, you want to make it in this business, you got to show some skin. That's what happened last time I went to the dermatologist. Dermatologist went, you want to make it in this business, you got to be ready to show some skin. That's fine. You don't want to take your shirt off? That's fine. No, you're just not going to get as many parts.
You've been in LA for too long.
And I was like, I got a rash. Help me with my rash.
He's like, I'll say you're being awfully rash. Let's get that shirt off.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of rash, I saw Jim Rash at that same bowling alley as Joe Rogan.
Is he getting his hair done
online,
as well?
He was in line waiting for the salon. They call it the salon. Well, everybody, welcome to Double Threat.
I'm your friend Julie.
And I'm your acquaintance, Tom.
What
We're
do
not
they
friends
have
yet.
to do in order
I'm
to
your friend. I'm your friend.
No, I'm saying what do they have to do?
Oh, what do they have to do? We're getting closer.
What do they have to do to earn your loyalty points? Secrets? Do they have to share secrets with you? Are you going
to share secrets with me? One-way street stuff.
Start hoarding listener secrets?
Yeah, I gotta get a few secrets from you. A few things you never told nobody.
We'll start releasing them as blind items once a week until we'll start blackmailing our listeners.
Yeah. Which Double Threat listener was recently spotted canoodling at an outdoor cafe
with her boyfriend's brother?
Yeah, that's great. It'd be Double Threat confidential.
If you don't Venmo us $75,000, we're going to give your name on the show.
Yeah. Then we give your name and they're just like, wait, no, what happened here? I thought you were, they'd be like, I thought we were friends and now you're blackmailing me. Be like, it's not called show friendship.
Have you ever listed your friends and be like, you're my first best friend, you're my second best friend?
Oh yeah. No, I have a list. I currently maintain a list. I spend once a week, I go through it and move people up and down. There's a board. And
is it written in lipstick, blood, or other?
No, it's like a scoreboard. Like it's like
what are scoreboards made out of?
Like I have people's names printed on like slotted.
Oh,
things.
okay.
I slide
like a
them
train
in.
Schedule, kind of.
Exactly. Like it's like when you're at Penn Station and it goes like
right. And then it goes, you're late.
And you're
late. You should have been at track 27 15 minutes ago.
That's the greatest. If people haven't experienced Penn Station,
it should
commuting,
be burned to the ground. Oh my God. Penn Station should be burned to the ground.
Basically, it's something like this. Imagine 3,000 people wanting to go home at the same time. Every 2 minutes, a new pack of 3,000 people wanting, and they're just like, there's this giant board and it is it's old fashioned in a way where it just like rolls over just like an old pinball machine before it reveals what track the train is coming in at. And suddenly it's like, and then suddenly it's just like track 11. And then suddenly it's a bunch of exhausted office workers running as fast as they can.
Right. Because you're waiting to see when it departs. And then it tells you like 2 minutes before it actually does.
Yeah.
Whereas Grand Central is like the ult. I mean, so they may as well be giving you like a back massage and saying like, what kind of iced tea? We have peach.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I always
Grand
like
Central
when
is so beautiful.
Grand Central
Comparatively.
Station is beautiful.
Yeah.
Penn Station is a nightmare.
Oh my god, it's shocking. Penn Station never fails to shock me as far as how just horrible it is.
The lowest place in Penn Station is the line of people waiting for that LIRR train and those trains, and they're like waiting to go down a staircase. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, I walk past them just like, you sad losers.
Where are you going? New Jersey Transit?
I'm going to New Jersey, which at least we don't have to go down a staircase.
Right.
Like we're not waiting at the top of a staircase.
Right.
In a line waiting to get down that staircase. We just run. It's just all higgledy-piggledy for people from New Jersey.
And that's different, Brett, than the grocery store. That's the piggly.
Oh, you're talking about the Piggly Wiggly?
Higgledy.
Yeah.
Wiggly. Higgly.
Iconic grocery store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't have those where I grew up.
No, me neither. What were the grocery stores you had?
I had an A&P.
A&P. We had A&P.
We had a ShopRite.
We had ShopRite.
We had a couple Gristedes, which I guess is like an East Coast
thing. We still didn't make, not in New Jersey though. Gristedes
no
always
Gristedes
in New York.
in New Jersey?
No. Did you have Food Town?
No, but we had Seatown, which is always kind of funny. Like, welcome to Seatown. I'm a, C word.
Yeah. No, you got Seatown. And it's funny because I'm actually on a Seatown diet.
I should have seen this coming.
I can only eat food from the grocery store Seatown.
So you'd lose weight immediately.
Yeah.
Because of all the parasites.
Yeah. You did not have Acme, though. Acme was more of a New Jersey, Pennsylvania thing. I was thinking Acme. Acme was closest to my house growing up, and I felt like I had a connection to a young man named Brandon Margera when I realized his father worked in the bakery at an Acme down in South Jersey. And I remember watching Brandon, who went on to be called Bam, was his nickname.
But you're saying Bam Senior was like rolling out the dough?
Yeah, Phil worked at he worked at the bakery at an Acme, and I remember watching that show. And this is just a thing about life and how life works and time moves.
Watching Jackass?
Jackass. Yeah. Bam Margera is like this golden god, all ripped and everything, and and his father's just like this kind of hefty dude, and you're with a beard, and you're kind of just like, how on earth is that guy this kid's father? And then just time moves on, and suddenly you're like, he looks just like his father now.
Right.
Do you know what I mean, Brett? Have you ever seen Jackass?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because where you grew up, Brett, a lot of you had your own version of Jackass, which was called just Killing Time.
Just Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, Tuesday. And Julie, do you know the most common final words in Georgia?
What's that?
Watch this. It's just, but it was, can you pull up a picture of can you pull up a picture of Bam Margera and Phil Margera to show that how similar they look now?
I'd be happy to. Yeah. As I'm doing that, we did have a thing at the local swimming pool. There was like a forest area behind the swimming pool where we would go ride bikes. And we did have a thing back there called the Pit. And the Pit was actually it was like low margin for error, but if you missed it, you're done for. It was like a fairly easy jump. But in the middle of the jump was a huge pit that we had dug that we would just keep digging deeper and deeper. And it got probably about 6 or 7 feet deep. But it was, and so,
you're on your BMX bikes jumping the pit.
BMX bikes. Yes. Yeah. And it was, it was an easy jump, but if you missed it, the pit, you don't want to go into the pit because the pit was pretty deep.
Pit was pretty unforgiving.
Yes. Yeah.
Were there any skeletons down there, like actual skeletons of dead kids?
I mean, at a point you couldn't see the bottom, so it's possible. Yeah.
How deep was the pit? You couldn't see the bottom of the pit.
You said it was 6
some
feet.
kids
You said
dug.
it was 6 feet deep.
I like he's still applying children's logic to say, you can't see the bottom of that thing. Like, that's the way children talk. He's now an adult with a child, and he's still acting like he's 10. The pit's so deep, you can't even see how deep it goes. The pit's so deep.
There was a rumor that somebody fell in the pit once and never got out, never came out of it.
Oh, no,
There
of
was
course there was. But now you're an adult, Brett. You can give up
You
on
can debunk
the kid
that.
logic. The pit's so deep. We dug a pit. It's so deep you can't even see how far down that goes. If you jump it and you miss on your bike, if your bike misses, you're dead. Because the kid died in here already. And he's an adult with a child. He's saying, I'm telling you guys, you couldn't see the bottom of this pit.
Who was in charge of bringing the shovel? That's my question.
Great question.
Because you guys are
Yeah.
all there with your cool bikes, and was there someone in charge of?
The kid's showing up with like shovels from a garage, maybe, and he's saying that this pit was so deep you couldn't see the bottom of it. No, and it's fine, Brett. These are the things we need to, at some point in our life, catch. We need to go, oh, hey, that's how I saw that as a kid. That was clearly me as a kid thinking that. And now you caught it.
He's a reliable narrator.
No, I'm telling you, this pit's so deep, you can't even see. I think there's a kid lost down there.
And he dug it. It's not even like other kids dug it and he is admiring it. He made the pit and he's still talking about it. You can't see
Maybe there
the
was
bottom of
something
it.
supernatural about it.
At some point, Brett, you had to get out of the pit that you dug to go home so that you could currently be where you are right now, living on
But you're
above
assuming
ground.
he ever fell into it. Did you ever fall into it?
Well, he fell into it when he dug it. He was in it at its lowest point because he was digging it. It's just logically, nobody was ever further down in this pit than Brett, the architect and of the pit.
I will say, I watched the documentary one time about the Brooklyn Bridge, where they talked all about how they created the Brooklyn Bridge and all digging the foundations for it. And I did have. It was kind of similar.
PTSD,
it was kind of similar. Yeah,
a little
it was
PTSD from the Brooklyn Bridge documentary.
I was gonna say more like BFD.
Yeah.
He's watching it. He's like, big effing deal. You should have seen this pit.
Yeah. I thought Brett was going to be laying in a hotel room like Apocalypse Now, fan spinning around the top, the end playing, and he's getting all these memories of the pit.
It was kind of an architectural wonder, though, because you had to maintain the integrity of the launch jump
Ramp?
and
Is it
the
a ramp,
ramp,
or-
yeah, the launch angle ramp and the landing ramp. You had to maintain the integrity of those two things while continuing to dig deeper and deeper down. And again, because the pit was so deep, we couldn't dig outward. We could only go down, because to dig outward was to increase the likelihood that you fell into the pit, which would be very dangerous. So it was a
Well,
very
I know you also had the
slender-
fear that you were going to end up in China too. At some point, that must have been a concern that if you kept
And
digging,
if the bottom
you'd
is
be
quick,
in
and
China.
if the bottom is quicksand, then you're doomed.
So yeah, you'd either hit some quicksand. Look, positive thing, you hit some oil or buried treasure.
Best
The
case
scary part
scenario.
would be you hit a thing and then either you unleash demons from hell or you're on the other side of the globe. You fall through, and
Yeah.
then Brett is
And that
instantly
happened
in
to
China.
and that happened to a friend of mine.
He's in China now. I'm telling you. This kid jumped the pit and missed, and he ended up in China.
I have questions about the integrity of the ramps. Were the ramps, were they just like part of the soil, or did you actually build ramps, or did you have ramps?
Well, we used the dirt we dug at the pit. The dirt that to create the pit would become the dirt for the ramps. So it was, very like.
So
it
you
was,
used all the parts of
All
the
of that
of the
dirt.
Very
antelope.
efficient.
Very yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Julie, all of that dirt got used for that thing to make two lowly bike ramps out of dirt. Can you imagine how deep this pit wasn't?
When you talked about the integrity of those ramps, now I'm picturing them being made out of dirt, and I don't.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh, they
concerned
were
about
dirt.
the.
Yeah, it was packed.
Yeah, they were
dirt.
dirt.
It was.
They must have been
tightly
really
dirt.
packed. Unless it rained, you guys were probably not screwed.
No, yeah, no. This was, even if it did rain, these were packed so tightly. It was. I mean, it was dense dirt because the pit was deep.
No.
You know, you're talking about just. I mean, just
And it's that
imagine
Georgia clay, that clay dirt.
Yeah,
in
now
Georgia.
we see. Yeah,
Yeah,
red clay.
yeah. You know what I think? You know what I think,
I
Julie?
thought Red Clay was Clay Aiken.
Yeah, that's his name, Red Clay.
What, Tom?
You know what I'm thinking?
What?
We got to go check this pit out.
Yeah. If you send Brett, send him back as a correspondent.
The next
pit.
live stream.
Yeah,
is
it just
live
be
from
Brett,
the
and
pit.
you just see the top of Brett's head because we make him go into the pit and stand in it.
No, we make him do
You
a
won't be able to
jump.
see the top of my head. I mean, that
No,
thing
we
is,
make him do a jump.
Come on.
The return of Evil Knievel.
I'll have to recreate it. The old neighborhood ain't what it used to be. You know, it's all everybody's staying inside now.
You
on their
can't recreate it
screens.
yourself, Brett. You
No,
need
I-
a team. You need a pack.
Absolutely.
I love it. The pit.
It'll be like the movie It, except we all reconnect 20
Yes.
years later to
Yeah.
redig the
Sure,
the
pit.
Yeah.
It'll be called It. It 3, Pit.
Pit.
Pit 1. It 3, Pit 1.
Mhm.
Double Threat Listeners 0.
And it's near the chicken. It's near the big chicken, so he could be Henny Pennywise.
Penny. I think what we're building toward, Julie, is Brett in a chicken costume jumping the pit.
Oh, I was thinking him in a chicken costume doing that
like-
Pennywise dance.
I think we're gonna have to do a show live from the pit. You
Right.
and I'll do a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Then it'll build. The culmination will be Brett rolls in an Evil Knievel outfit, but also a chicken costume.
Well, you two will be there. I'll be at the Improv Theater, the pit, and I'll act like I got confused.
Sure. Well, we're
I'll
getting
be on-
the best of that deal. Honestly,
I'll be on 29th Street in the rain.
Yeah, if
like,
I had a
hey.
if I had a choice between going to the pit or
Oh, I go on the
Brett's pit.
I'll be on the outside.
Do you have that picture, Brett? Any picture of
Yeah.
Bam
Hold on.
Margera?
This is Bam. Recent Bam.
Yeah, he looks like. I mean,
Yeah. Now look at him with it. Now look at the father. Click on the picture of the father.
aw, he's
Yeah.
adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same exact guy.
But then like a young. Now show us like a young picture of Bam Margera, please. Time is rough, man. That's why I'm glad personally.
No, I started out looking.
but that's
I don't
what
want
I
to say
got.
funny looking, but it's like,
No.
yeah, when you're like a character actor, sort of
This is my whole thing, Julie.
look. There's no people. If you're doing it right, can't spot like a giant deterioration gap.
I got the Danny DeVito thing going on, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Where he looked like a bridge troll when he was 25,
Come
and
on.
then now he's in his 70s, and people are like, Danny DeVito looks amazing because he didn't have that. Youth was not on his side; age was on his side. Who's on the show today?
I don't know.
Oh boy. Oh, you guys don't know? Oh, this is
No,
gonna be a
I
great
hope it's
surprise.
someone good.
This is a real speaking of speaking like each other. I think I'm speaking like Tom now. This is a real get. This is what they call
Yes.
a get in the podcasting world. Comedian Jim Gaffigan. Jim Gaffigan is actually going to join
Wow.
us pretty
best.
shortly here. And we've got a fun thing that we're going to do with Jim Gaffigan. We're going to be counting down the top 10. I say counting down. We're really going to be debating and discussing and sort of formulating this list live of the top 10 monsters of all time. And if that seems like an interesting pairing, it's because Jim's new comedy special is called Comedy Monster.
Yeah.
So in honor of Comedy Monster, we're going to be counting down the top 10 monsters of all time. Listeners submitted nominations on Twitter. Tom and Julie submitted nominations. It's going to be great. We're really going to get into it. The
And I
best
have-
monsters of all time.
I have a last minute nomination I'd like to include that I didn't mention before, but I would like to nominate Fred Schneider's song Monster.
Julie, I was so close to saying that. I swear,
Oh my God,
it
are
ran
you
through my head.
serious?
It ran through my head, and I forgot to say it.
the monster,
there's a monster
in my pants.
It makes me want to dance.
dance.
Yeah,
That is my nomination, the monster in Fred Schneider's pants.
Okay.
And there's monsters everywhere. Tom doesn't like the song The Monster Mash.
I don't.
Okay, well, I do.
Well, I actually do.
Well, actually do.
Actually, I like Monster Mash.
Actually, I think it's good. Actually, I'm doing the Monster Mash right now, but you can't even tell because you don't even really know what it is.
Yeah.
It's just where you wiggle your pinky toe in your slipper, and the bottom of your slipper has jelly on it.
Okay, that's your Monster Mash?
Yeah, you ever do that? You ever do the thing where you have jelly on the bottom of your slippers, and so you just attach paper towels to them and be like, "I'm skating."
No.
Oh,
Never,
okay. Yeah, me neither.
I've
Me neither.
Hold on. You got to walk me through this one. You get jelly on the bottom of your.
I made myself my version of a PB&J before the show. I did like a tofutti, whatever, like a cream cheese and jam, right? Or jelly. What's the difference? That's a Brett question.
Okay, so you had tofutti, cream cheese, and
and I had like some sunflower butter on there, and I put some jam on it.
What kind of bread are we talking about?
Whole wheat bread.
Okay, toasted.
No, soft.
Okay,
and I cut it in half diagonally. And then I chomped on it. And then as I was leaving the kitchen, I saw that there was some like jam on the floor. So I took one of my, many vacuum cleaners, and this is not a good story, but I will walk you through it.
No, I'm enjoying
I cleaned it up. I cleaned it up. And then as I'm walking away, I see that I'm leaving like sticky jam prints behind me in my slippers. And instead of taking off my slippers and like, I don't know, running the soles through the like faucet, which just seems
smeared
weird
it all
and gross.
over your floor. You like ground it into your floor instead of
I stuck paper towels to the bottom of my slippers, and I said, "Wee! I'm actually cleaning the floor."
Okay, no, I get you. That has not happened to me. That is within the range of happening to me, though.
It's just it's an offshoot of laziness and not wanting to wash the bottom of my slippers because that's, I don't know. Are you like a shoes off household, or do you wear your shoes inside the home?
Not hard and fast rules with that.
Yeah.
So take it as it comes kind of house.
Right. Because you've got that pit in the middle of your.
Well, Julie, thank you for bringing up. In my house, there's a pit that is so deep that.
Like, how deep do you say it is?
Well, me and a couple 8-year-olds dug it.
Can you see to the bottom of it?
No, you can't.
That must be really deep.
I dropped down
a quarter.
No, like a lantern, a lit lantern, and it kept going, and it's still going, and all I hear is.
So
it's still making that sound.
Are you gonna like fish out Daniel Plainview at one point?
Well, I'm hoping he crawls up out of it.
If he does, he's gonna be so mad. Daniel Plainview had a temper.
Daniel Plainview had a temper.
E-I-E-I-O.
There are positive things about E-I-E-I-O. There are positive things about him, though. He liked bowling.
I agree.
He was a family man. He liked bowling.
It wasn't like that Taylor on the Toilet. It wasn't a Taylor on the Toilet movie you like.
What movie?
The Taylor on the Toilet.
Oh, Phantom Thread? You mean the best movie of the last 20 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not that Taylor on the Toilet movie.
Darling, make me one of those omelets again so I can have diarrhea.
That movie is the best, top 10 best things I've ever seen in my life.
The guy from Radiohead's like, all right, here's some new tracks I made for Taylor on the Toilet.
It's the only time I felt
Taylor on the Toilet.
People talk about feeling seen. You talk about being seen. That's one of the only times I felt seen is that movie. Where it's like my particular brand of mental illness.
I will say that as an artist, your work, your writing, your comedy, your podcasting is so much better than those stupid dresses in that movie. I thought those dresses, considering the like uppity cranky puss he was,
Mm-hmm.
Those dresses were not that cute. Oh
They
my
weren't even
gosh.
supposed to be cute. Cute isn't even a part of the equation
They
at that
weren't
point in time.
beautiful. In my opinion.
No, I
think
agree. I get what you're saying. They are just elaborate.
I would go on Fashion Police, I'd say.
I'd say
this toilet tailor is
Mhm.
giving me another plain view of his plain ass clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'd go to commercial. And then
Sure.
we'd come back and I'd be replaced by someone else.
Yeah.
Kelly Osbourne. How are you doing, Tom?
I'm all right. Just enjoying the season.
Did you watch yes. It's
did I
what?
watch what now?
Macbeth.
No, I'm not gonna watch that.
You're not?
No, that's some egghead nonsense.
Okay. It's not very long. It's about an hour and a half.
Is that on the poster? It's not very long.
Yeah.
Rex Reed.
I watch CBS Sunday Morning. It was only me and old people.
Mm-hmm.
And their ads are either for medications or for live theater.
Is your grandson stealing stuff from your house? Like commercials like that.
Yeah.
Is your grandson a troublemaker? We should just start doing commercials like that. Do you wonder how your grandkids got off track? Does your grandson seem like he's up to no good?
So they so wait, what is this selling? Like a nanny cam for them or something? I guess they wouldn't know how to
But the thing is, we're just going to get them hooked. We don't even know what we're selling.
Oh, okay, got it.
We just want to get them in the door.
Call this number and then we could talk to them, the old timers on the
Call
phone.
this number and we'll help you out.
Well, yeah, we'll get either your social or your credit card out of you
First,
somehow.
okay, so your grandson is really he's rude.
What if that's
and
our
thoughtless?
900? What if that's our 1-900 number? Is that
Give me
1-900
your credit card number?
So anyway, so they have medication commercials and then they have ads. And they had one for Cinderella. It was either a ballet or an opera, and the announcer said, "It's in English and under 2 hours."
It's in English.
Yeah, there's no subtitles. It's in English and it's under 2 hours. And I thought,
wow,
you know what? That was bright of them to lead with it.
So they're I kind of
right.
I like when I see that something is short. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Right.
Like when you go to watch something and you're just like, wait, this movie's only an hour and a half. Thank Christ, what a gift!
Yes,
already,
I
and I'm just like,
know.
I'm already like.
I know.
So I'm already like, this movie's pretty good because it's an hour and a half long.
That's my sell on the because this Shakespeare fella, I don't understand. I was like, I thought I knew English.
No, I'm tired of the Shakespeare business.
Well, you like it when people rap Shakespeare and you like improvised Shakespeare. I know that.
I do. I like when people take any source material, and I love the movie. There's this Jamie Kennedy flick called Romeo and Juliet. That's pretty good. Directed by my friend Baz Luhrmann. And it's him and Jamie Kennedy, and they have a pretty good time making this movie.
And then there's that scene where Jamie Kennedy gets his brains blown out by Lee Harvey Oswald.
He's like, what light from yonder window breaks?
And Juliet's like, alas, ring the alarm bell. You know, this dialogue that Shakespeare came up with is not how people talk.
That's what I mean.
Yeesh.
It
It goes, oh, he will not be killed by a man of woman born. First of all, I'm like, hello, gender is fluid. A. B. What are you trying to say? And like, how would you say that?
Yeah, no, I hear the Shakespeare stuff and I just immediately glaze over.
Yeah.
Anybody starts talking like that.
I get more glaze than a donut.
Yeah. Yeah, you get more glaze than a donut. Nikki Glazer has never been as glazed as I get when somebody starts doing Shakespeare.
I get more glazed over than a ceramic pot.
I get more glazed over than if Nikki Glazer and John Glazer were at a Color Me Mine glazing a little mug they made together.
I get more glaze than one of Brett's fishes. Oh shit. It's 2022 and it's the first time and maybe the last where we reference the fact that our producer, if this is the first time you're listening to this show, A, heaven help you. B,
Yes.
our producer,
welcome,
Brett.
welcome, and heaven help you.
Welcome and heaven help you. And you'll know by now if you like it or not. I
Yeah,
would
no,
say
you
that
stop
about
listening.
people. It's not an acquired taste.
If
I'd
this
say
is your first time listening and you didn't like it, you're not hearing this.
You're
part.
not here anymore.
You already left.
Yeah.
You're already just like, nope.
You didn't get to this point.
Yeah.
I mean, what band do you think is that like King Crimson, you think? Is like someone listens to the first 30 seconds, they're either in or out. There's nothing in between.
Yeah, I picture
with them, right?
any band that draws a hard line on this is either totally for you or totally not for you.
Yes.
No middle ground here.
So we are
that. We are that. And
speaking of middle ground, Brett will, I'm trying to do this, Brett, and you're better at it than I am. He will grind up things for rubs.
I do finally have a mortar and pestle. I know that was if we want to do a little mortar and pestle check-in.
Finally, we can start poisoning people with pill dust.
Yeah.
This is when Tom, this is when he invites you to dinner, and this is when you and I have a little
now you're heading into my territory of Taylor on the toilet territory. Grind up some pills.
And then rub it into the flesh of like a salmon.
Yeah.
Then put enough like honey glaze on it that you're just like, this is delicious. I finished it.
Yeah. I knew you were trying to find middle ground with Brea there for a second, Julie. But ironically, when him and his cohorts dug that hole, they actually found Middle Earth and hobbits came running out. They actually dug the pit so deep that Gandalf himself crawled out of it and was like, "The line must be drawn here." Wait, no, that's Captain Picard said that, not Gandalf.
So our producer makes fish and he uses his own rubs and glazes. Did you ever use coffee grounds as a rub?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like
in the are we going to throw this out kind of way? Like, is there something we could do with this before we throw it away, or you make it specially for the? No,
I mean that's
fish?
the whole theory of making your own rubs and glazes is a theory of efficiency, using what you got.
Right. What do we have?
Yes, let the kitchen speak to you.
Yes.
Don't worry about recipes. Don't worry about this or that. What is a recipe if not ingredients? You got ingredients, you got a recipe. That's the way I feel about rubs and glazes.
Tom,
what's that now?
Did you go to McDonald's this week?
No, I did not go to McDonald's this week. I drew a hard line on myself.
Okay, because I saw there was a ban. There was like a boycott McDonald's movement from the anti-vaxxers. So I thought I'm gonna have Tom go twice this week.
Wait, why would the anti-vaxxers?
Because you have to be vaccinated to be admitted into the Ronald McDonald house.
Well, I'm sure that community is going to really be able to be steadfast and dedicated in not going to McDonald's. The anti-vax community, they all went.
Don't you sneer? Don't you look down? You look down your nose at them.
We're going to Burger King today.
It's not like they suddenly went to Sweet Green.
We're not going to McDonald's. We're going to show them that our dollars speak. We're just going to McDonald's drive-through.
It's a different company.
Yeah, I think the drive-through is different. Because they have different headsets on and things. It's not the same. Look, I just want my McDonald's, okay?
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. How do you like those Brian Cox McDonald's commercials?
Brian Cox is doing McDonald's commercials.
You've not heard
Succession?
those? Yeah.
Succession? That Brian Cox?
Brea.
Yeah, I
Please
got you.
Brian Cox.
I got you.
Hannibal Lecter?
It's like a weird. They're weird. I find them weird. Almost bordering on Robert Loggia in that orange juice commercial. Weird.
Hey, Billy. Yeah. Drink your
Listen to your mother, Billy.
Billy, listen to your mother. Drink the Minute Maid.
Listen to this.
Okay.
If you're ordering McDonald's and your friend says they don't want fries, get them the fries. Or else your fries will be their fries. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Stop it. Are you serious?
Yeah.
You're kidding me. Now, if the Macbeth movie had this as the audio, you would there would be nothing keeping you from it.
No, that's what I would say. I would say tired Macbeth, wired McDonald's is generally where I'm coming from.
And I could play Lady McDonald's.
Lady McDonald's. Burgers
Washing her
feet.
hands. She's feeling guilty about she killed a man.
I feel like I'm heading into Robin Williams territory where anybody says anything and then I just start making
without
references.
I know
Captain, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I can't make it work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3.
Can you imagine the hell of being, because I know what you mean, and I sometimes I like relate, but then there's also minus the ecstasy of being on tons of like 70s cocaine at the time.
Yeah.
It's like a very specific kind of Twilight Zone hell. I'm free associating and I'm not having the good time that he did.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of hell, heaven has just entered the waiting room.
Or you could have said, speaking of good time, Brett.
Yeah, sorry. I'd already logged hell and I was just hanging on to that one. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Now, we talk about BetterHelp a lot on Double Threat, and this month we're discussing some of the misconceptions around mental health. For example, some people think you should wait until things are unbearable to go to therapy, but that isn't true. Therapy is a tool to utilize before things get worse, and it can help you avoid those extreme lows. We've also been taught that mental health shouldn't be a part of normal life, quote unquote normal life, but that's wrong as well. We take care of our bodies with the gym, the doctor, and nutrition. We should be focusing on our minds just as much. Therapy, for me, is just an essential part of being alive and having a human brain and trying to know yourself better and take care of yourself mentally. And if you're looking to start therapy or change therapists, BetterHelp could be a great option for you. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Give it a try and see why over 2 million people have used BetterHelp Online Therapy. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Double Threat listeners right now can get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Tom and Julie. That's BetterHelp.com/Tom and Julie.
Who's in the waiting room, Bray?
Oh boy! Well, we got Jim Gaffigan. I'm looking at this name. I can't even believe it.
Bring him in.
All right, here he comes. Here he comes, Jim Gaffigan.
What are we yapping about?
Oops! Almost hit remove. Admit. There we go.
Oh, he almost hit
Oh,
remove.
Big faux
Brett.
pas. Huge faux pas.
Oh,
He
Pa.
almost-
That's
Brett
not the right
almost-
word for it.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi,
Hey.
Jim.
Oh my
What's
goodness.
going on?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm very excited to be here.
We're
I'm
so excited to have you.
Yeah. Thanks for doing the show.
Of course, of course.
Where are you, Jim? You look like you're in this sun-drenched, like almost like a study where Columbo would interrogate
Yeah.
like
This,
an heiress.
Like a
yeah,
deposition.
no, it does have kind of I feel like it feels like a steakhouse.
Okay.
It's this. We rented this house, and this guy had this den area that's very wood paneled, and so
It definitely sweats masculinity.
Now, Jim, you first things first. You, and this is a true or false question. You have a special on Netflix called Party Monster. True or false?
No, it's called Comedy Monster.
but that was
Even
the
I
trick.
knew that. Oh,
Julie,
I'm sorry.
that
Hold
was
on.
the
Let me.
trick.
Forget. Okay, I'll shut up. You do it now. Hold on.
It was like remember when that dude would go on game shows, on talk shows and do Simon Says with people? And he would that was me doing a little Simon Says. I was seeing if he was catching every word.
And I got really stressed out.
You would have
and
gotten thrown out of my Simon Says.
we watched. Growing up, that was kind of a staple. Was watching a lot of those game shows, right?
Yeah. Like television, there was nobody was like, now there's this illusion that quality needs to be a factor in television. And
Yeah.
then it was not even on the quality.
It was just babysitting. It was like the kind of thing that a fun babysitter would do for you, is just play Simon Says or color something.
Yeah, it's like choice was just not something we had as a child when it came to television. You're like, I guess I'm going to watch Rockford Files. And then you watch it long enough and you're like, you know what? I think I like Rockford Files.
Yeah. Suddenly you're like, yeah, I've seen 100 episodes of Rockford Files. You're like, do you like it? You're like, I think I might. I don't know. I certainly have a encyclopedic knowledge of it. Well, that's like the Brady Bunch might be the ultimate version of that show.
Or may I, Gilligan's Island? Can I put that in the mix? Is like the world's stupidest show that nobody cared about whether or not it was like the fact that there were scripts that came in almost seems irrelevant.
Yeah, it was just the premise. They just leaned on the premise the entire time. There was no need for story. They're like, there's a professor.
Yep.
Can you believe it? There's a movie star, there's a rich guy. Yeah. It's unbelievable. And you're like, should we write it? Nah.
No.
And they're like, look, we got to do 50 of these this year. Like, that's when they had these insane production schedules where just like, hey, we got picked up for a season. How many episodes of that?
75 this year. Because there's like 5 of them but 5 of them have to be an hour long.
Yeah. Now everybody's like, we got a 6-episode thing, and then we're going to take 2 years off. But it's like, yeah, we were trying to make it good.
Yeah. I remember watching Happy Days and being like, even as like a 10-year-old, I was like, wait a minute, this is really bad. It's like, they're not trying at all. I mean, we all know like that when Fonzie jumped the shark, that was ridiculous. But even before that, there was even the early stages. You're like, wait a minute.
No one's at the wheel. This is
not good.
Yeah, with Happy Days, there was like, it seems like there was like, they're like, hey, we're going to do American Graffiti for television. And then like 3 weeks in, they're just like, yeah, I think we're out of ideas. Let's just. Well,
those were America's lazy babysitters, was like Gary Marshall, Aaron Spelling, who created Gilligan's Island, like Sherwood Schwartz, who did the Brady Bunch also. And it was very much like that Marty Short character. It's like, give me a C, a bouncy C, yada da 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 da, and you finish the rest.
Yeah.
That seemed like the premise of those. You're right. It was premise only.
Brady Bunch, I could tell you everything about everything on it. It's like, well, is it good? It's like, no, it's the worst thing I ever saw in my life. But I'm like a student of it.
Someone told me that every one of the characters on Gilligan's Island is based on one of the 7 deadly sins. And I don't know if she was messing with me or not, but should we just go over that real quick?
Let's do a quick.
Okay.
Gilligan would be
sloth
or idiocy, right? He was.
Yeah.
I don't know if idiocy is a sin.
Brett, what are the 7 deadly sins?
You know that part in 7 where that really dumb guy gets like dumb to death?
I want to reveal up front that. We'd start with the millionaire, right? That's greed.
That's greed. And then ginger is lust.
Then you've got gluttony, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride.
I think Marianne was envy because she wished she had
ginger.
That booty like Ginger. Yeah.
And I guess the captain was gluttony, right?
He had to be. I think we can kind of.
Just because he had a spare tire?
Yeah.
Just because he looks like every single American today.
God that I've ever met in my life. If he's like, to be like, hey, as opposed to
back in the 60s, they're like, can you believe this guy's this fat? And now it's like, that's everyone.
Like, kind of like you go to a trainer with a picture of the skipper on Gilligan's Island, be kind of like, this is kind of what I'd like to get to.
What I'm going for.
I wonder what was his backstory though, the skipper? You think, is he just like some grizzled sea vet who now is like reduced to like running these like tours with people where he like had all these adventures
you think
before this?
You think he was in WW2?
That's what I wonder. Was he like a straight up? Yeah, he was probably like a naval officer.
He was stationed in the Pacific. He's seen some things.
And look, I'm not going to do a Gilligan's Island thing because it's just been run into the ground so much. But just one question, and it's like, why would the millionaire not be able to afford his own charter for a thing? He's got to be just like, yeah, let this scientist and this, hillbilly.
And then the professor can't build can't build a raft was like, Jim, when you were coming up in stand up, I felt like everyone in the 80s was doing something about why can't they build a raft in the same breath as the airplane food kind of like trope of, 80s stand up was dunking on 70s TV.
Yeah, I mean, I remember touring. I'm more 90s, but I remember when you would do some road gigs around, the area, there would occasionally be a headliner that would be like, "You don't have any Wizard of Oz jokes," and I'd be like, "No, I don't have any Wizard of Oz jokes." So there was, but I think that I probably remember a Gilligan's Island reference, probably like a homophobic take on Gilligan and the Captain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I've got hate in my heart and something to say.
Yeah.
That's always just like, if two men are close, they must be gay. You know what I mean? That kind of take.
Yeah.
And of course, gay was back,
Yes. No. But you have a special called Comedy Monster. True or false?
Yes, I do. True.
And it's very funny. I'll say it. That's true. I'll say that. It's great. It's so funny.
I've seen all of you. Every time you come up with a special, it's like your favorite band. You have to like listen to all of their albums. That's me with your specials. And I haven't gotten to this one yet, but I can't wait.
No worries. No worries. Well, thank you. It's just like, I'm so thrilled that, to have an outlet, right, in this weird time, as kind of creative souls, we're kind of like, it's hard to find oxygen. And so I was thrilled that I could tape it. Yeah. I recorded it in October, and I feel like I got kind of lucky with Omicron, because it's, I don't really do topical material, but all my pandemic stuff, because of Omicron, it's timely. So,
yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah. So Jim planned.
Bad for the hundreds of thousands of people that have died, but it
may as well have been called the Gaffigan variant, is what I'm hearing. So Comedy Monster is now out, and then we had a really dumb idea, which was Brett, do you want to explain it?
Oh, no, this isn't dumb at all. This is going to be a great conversation starter. It's something everybody's talking about right now. What are the greatest monsters of all time?
And let me just interrupt. Sorry, Brett. Yeah, I just want to introduce Jim to you. Brett,
Jim,
this is Brett,
our producer, Brett.
And
hey, Jim.
He's from Georgia, and he was bragging to us when he was a kid, him and his pals dug a pit that they could jump their bikes over. This is today. He was bragging. They dug a pit, and I swear he said this thing was so deep you couldn't see the bottom of this thing. And it's just like, you're still talking like an 8-year-old, Brett. You're still like, you're an adult now. You need to stop.
We asked him how deep the pit was that he dug when he was a little boy.
Him and his other 8-year-old pals.
It was so deep you couldn't see the bottom of it.
It is. Well, it's weird when you look at like those times when because I identify with that period of like, did you guys ever build a fort? It was, you would build like essentially a shanty in town in the woods. Mm-hmm. It was really weird. And you had such pride. You're like, it's amazing. We have some filthy carpet in there. It was really weird. And now my kids, I can't get them off screens, but I remember like building a ramp for a bike. I don't know how anyone from like our generation can even walk some of the bad stunts. Not even like Johnny Knoxville, just like a ramp that has like an incline of 90 degrees. It's like, I don't know how we pulled it off.
That sounds like vindication to me. That sounds like an endorsement of the pit.
All I was saying to Brett was,
essentially, I'm saying I'm trash too, Brett.
No, all I was saying to Brett was, Brett, just realize you're currently an adult. You probably could see the bottom of the pit. That's all I wanted him to.
It reached China. China.
But the funny thing, you mentioned like stunts and things, like if you ever watch this, like I watched this Evel Knievel documentary, his thing was so low rent. It was just like him and a couple other like goons. They'd show up with their own ramp, and he just had like a store-bought Harley Davidson that wasn't like souped up with like rocket boosters. He was just like a dude with a motorcycle, and they would just be like, I think ramp looks good. And then he'd fly off of it, crash into a bunch of barrels. And it was the most low-tech thing imaginable. And this was the biggest star of the 70s.
I cannot begin to articulate how big of a star he was. He was in the 70s. So I was born in 66. In the 70s, he was like our LeBron James.
Absolutely.
He was the hero. He was he'd be like, he broke every bone in his body. Yeah. And Wide World of Sports would just take advantage of him. They're like, hey, you're gonna jump this. He's like, I'm gonna jump the Snake River. They're not like, and Wide World of Sports isn't like, you need some mental help. This is the signs of bipolar.
Yeah.
They were like, let's get some cameras to the Snake River. Do you know what I mean? It was highly irresponsible. But in a way, that's what the Real Housewives of all these different cities is. Mm-hmm. Is they're all these kind of Evel Knievels that are like, instead of a motorcycle, they're using a bottle of wine.
Right. They're jumping Snake River in their own way.
Like how were like executives at Wide World of Sports not saying like, hey, is anybody concerned this guy might just be trying to kill himself on television? Like, this is like, does anybody have any concern about that?
I think I was Evel Knievel for Halloween once. Mm-hmm. And that was obviously, there wasn't costumes. My mom probably pieced it together, and my mom wasn't like a sewer or anything. It was probably, I taped stars on my sleeves, and I was Evel Knievel.
But just imagine if there was a guy right now, and you having your kids, if there's a guy who was basically actively trying to commit suicide, and your kids are like, hey, Dad, that's my hero.
That's our guy. That's our guy.
I want to be him when I grow up. Oh, you mean the guy who's going to die in front of all of us?
But I think some of it was the name. The name that he was called Evil was in the 70s. They're like, well, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Not only is he not named John or Sam, his name is Evil.
Yeah.
It was like he was like a rock star, right?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
But I got to check out that documentary. That sounds amazing.
Great. He was, and the other thing that would have come out with, like back then, there's no internet, obviously. It's just like he would have been unmasked within 15 minutes. People would have just been like, nope, not you. Because he was a con man from Montana. He would like he like invited a foreign hockey team, Olympic hockey team, to Montana to play against a U.S. assembled team, and he just stole the money. Like they show up, they come to the United States, and then he leaves with all the money, and they can't fly home because he just left with a bag of cash.
Oh, and wow.
Like he did stuff like that all the time. And then one day, people were just like, hold on a second. That guy is everyone's hero all of a sudden. Like that guy, like the dirtbag from Butte, Montana, who ripped everybody off, is now just like Mr. America.
That's gotta be. I still don't understand how some people have that Teflon ability, right? Yeah. Where they, do insanely just a list of horrible things that if one person did it, they'd be out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so like there has to be some psychological kind of thing where if we're dumb. Humans are dumb.
Yeah. And if somebody comes along and they are some handsome guy who stands up straight and just tells you how it is, you generally listen to them. Like most people are like, oh, okay.
But it seems like he was pulling some like Boris and Natasha stuff. Like the stuff he was getting away with seems like it was from bad cartoons, like Dastardly and Muttley kind of behavior. Not even anything too, devious. Like he wasn't smart enough to be a Batman villain.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, that's the thing also. I don't think there was. He was kind of a live action version of a superhero, right? That's what it was. Mm-hmm. It's probably stuff that like they cover in the first minute of the documentary, but I'm so thick. I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh, no, but
he had a cape and everything.
But you also had like the bicentennial was hovering around.
Yeah, so he was wearing stars on his thing, and that was exciting. Like it was sort of like this, groovy patriotism, I guess, aesthetic wise.
Well, speaking of evil, monsters are often considered evil, but they can also be...
Brett is getting us back to the topic, Jim.
Sometimes monsters are nice. Sometimes they're just misunderstood. There's all types of monsters. But what are the top 10 monsters of all time? That's our question on today's show. And we've got a lot of nominations here that came in from Tom, Julie, from our listeners. I was figuring we could run through this list, maybe just get some kind of gut reactions, like is this top 10 worthy or not, and then circle back to determine the rankings.
Is it fame, or is it fear-provoking, or is it all those things?
I think the criteria are just a sort of inexplicable gut reaction of I really like for example, I like Count Chocula, but I don't like Boo Berry. I don't like his whole vibe, but I like Count Chocula. He seems like he's got kind of a... First of all, I always get along well with gay men.
Right.
He seems like the gayest. He seems like the gayest guy.
The gayest cereal.
No, the gayest
monster
guy. Like, I don't think there's anyone gayer than Count Chocula. In fact, I would like to put this out as an open challenge. If you think you're gayer than Count Chocula, prove it. But I think it's a combination of like iconic, your own personal feelings towards them.
Is it weird that
we don't want to have like 10 Frankensteins on there, Yeah.
What, Tom? Is it weird that and now I'm realizing as a kid, I think I thought that Boo Berry was the ghost of Peter Lorre. Is that weird? Like he's got those same eyes. I kind of thought there's a part of me that connected him to Peter Lorre, probably only the cartoon version of Peter Lorre in like Bugs Bunny cartoons. I was not watching Maltese Falcon when I'm a kid.
You didn't watch M?
I was not watching M, but I was like, that guy seems like that ghost on the cereal box seems like it's the ghost of that guy from the Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Yeah, I can't. Oh, there he is.
Wait. Okay. Oh, no, I was thinking of Frankenberry. Boo Berry looks drunk. Boo Berry just looks like a drunk guy that's like, hey, this looks okay.
Blueberry, he looks a little bit like the coronavirus. when they draw the spike proteins? Yeah. Right? It's a little bit.
But I was thinking of Frankenberry, with one who looks like he's got a big butt head or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pink. It's kind of a pink one, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Pink. So, you know what I think is so fascinating about that song Monster Mash, where like people were so like, this is a crazy song. Crazy song. It's for a crazy time where there's monsters. You know what I mean? Like, it just shows you how boring the 50s or early 60s was when they're like, this crazy cool song called Monster Mash. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, people were like at the radio company, the record company, they're like, hold on. I'm not for censorship, but we're not gonna do the Monster Mash, are we? Do you know what I mean? It's just weird.
What kind of message are we sending? All these monsters are hanging out together at a thing.
Did you guys ever watch Penny Dreadful? There's a Frankenstein in Penny Dreadful that version of Frankenstein was amazing.
So let's put that on the board. Let's put Jim's contribution is the Penny Dreadful version of Frankenstein.
Yeah, played by Rory Kinnear, I believe, the very talented Rory Kinnear.
Yeah, it's such a great actor and a great performance.
And what is scarier about Rory Kinnear's Frankenstein than what's Boris Karloff? I guess
I would say that this was an intellectually, emotionally damaged Frankenstein. Whereas I normally think of Frankensteins as dumb. Mm-hmm. This Frankenstein
Most Frankensteins are dumb.
This Frankenstein he had a big like the sadness he felt about that he was alone. It's weird. I don't know if you ever got into Penny Dreadful, but like you're like, oh, I feel sorry for that Frankenstein.
All right, he's on the board.
And I think, and then of course, like, do you remember George Hamilton's Dracula?
Yes.
That was
on TV a lot when I was growing up. They were rerunning that on Comedy Central at a certain time, like constantly.
The funny thing was George Hamilton was so tan,
not pale.
The fact that
what was that called? What was that movie called?
Love at First Bite.
His name is Dracula.
I love you, and I can give you eternal life.
I knew it, an insurance salesman. I've already got Prudential.
So do we want to include, so we got Frankenstein from Penny Dreadful on the list, George Hamilton's Dracula. What about any of those cereal monsters? Did any of them make the top 10? Any of them are top 10? I mean, top 10 eligible?
Not for me. I would.
I like Count Chocula. Can we just look at him and his hair humps and his big old buck teeth? Mm-hmm. I think it's funny that he is.
Yeah.
I don't know. He makes me laugh, but I'm not gonna. Sure. I mean, of any of the General Mills monsters, he's my favorite. But I'm not going to, because as I look at him now, he does kind of look like a Jewish stereotype, also. Mm-hmm. So
also with that hat on Boo Berries, he looks like the ghost of Rich Voss.
By the way, so like I have a strange my childhood when. People would pick on me. They would call me Casper the Friendly Ghost. So I never really could enjoy Casper the Friendly Ghost. I
don't think there's much to enjoy.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would say
you're not missing
much.
out anything.
I didn't miss out on much.
No, it wasn't just like, oh, I couldn't watch Star Wars as a kid because of everybody called me R2D2. It's just like, yo, boy, you missed out on a pretty good movie. It's like Casper the Friendly Ghost.
You're not missing
sucked.
anything.
Yeah, I would put. I mean, if you want to put one of those serial guys on it.
Oh, I thought you meant serial killers because we do have Aileen Wuornos. We have Charlize Theron as Aileen Wuornos as the titular character in the movie Monster.
Mm-hmm. She's a movie monster.
What about now? Would Beast and Beauty and Ron Perlman's Beast? Would he be a monster?
You want to just say Ron Perlman?
I think we just put Ron Perlman on it. Perlman. I think that's the way to go.
He's like the nicest guy in the world.
But he brings a little bit of that. But he's a scary, he's an intimidating guy.
Not all monsters are bad. There's like all the Sesame Street monsters. They're friendly. Like, what's the Grover and yeah.
Like he's a big guy. He's a big guy. And he can, like I saw him at a thing a month or so ago. And I was like, oh my God, I'd be scared to talk. Like he's over there laughing, talking to people. He seems like a nice guy.
Yeah. I think he's done some movies in French. I think he's fluent in French. I don't know.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
We also had a lot of votes for the Xenomorphs, which are the monsters in Alien, designed by H.R. Giger.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, look, I think H.R. Giger should be on the list.
Yes. We want to nominate H.R. Giger. And by the way, Jim, have you ever heard H.R. Giger's speaking voice?
No.
Okay. Well, you know, he's a German guy, so you know that. So I want you to picture the most mellifluous, just like the voice you'd want to hear somebody who's singing you a lullaby right before you go to sleep.
Yeah.
Gordon Carroll, he asked me to do some new creatures. They want redesign the alien monsters.
David was very interested in bringing Giger back on this one to get his take on the concepts.
In his mind was a kind of puma or a beast like that.
But what kind of chair is he sitting on, first of all?
Well, by the way, that's Louis Anderson doing a character. Everyone knows that.
He's on a swinging chair.
I would love to, or is it a chair that's built out of like the spines of the models that he like?
Yeah,
like,
I think this is the beginning. Is he about to start singing "Bat Out of Hell"? He has Meatloaf right in this moment.
He does give off a little Meatloaf energy here. Yeah,
he's like a mini Meatloaf.
Paradise by the dashboard light. Let me sleep on it. baby.
So what's going on? So he does this is his specialty. Like, what are the likelihoods that he, I mean, doesn't being so skilled at creating monsters, wouldn't you be a little bit hesitant to, like, if he was like, come over for dinner, like, he's most likely to be a murderer, right?
Yes. Voted
or is that
most
an
likely.
Unfair characteristic.
You'd hope I guess you would hope he would get it out of his system with his monsters. That it's the one, if he didn't have this channel to kind of get it all out and channel it into the monsters.
Right, like
then
don't take his
murdered by him.
sketchbook away. If you take his sketchbook away, then you're doomed.
Yeah. Then you've pretty much signed your own death certificate.
When he was in school, they'd probably be like, all right, we need to call your parents in for a little bit.
And they'd come in and they'd be like, what is the problem?
What's the problem with our son? Like the teacher just saw his notebook with all the monsters all over it.
I mean, those monsters in Alien, I have not seen Alien 3. I saw Alien 2 and I didn't like it, but I like Alien, the first one. And that monster is so scary. It's so gooey. And it's got all those, like, what are those, like, descending mouths coming out of it? And it's like kind of beaky and it's kind of insecty, but it also is, does it have eyes? I don't think it has any eyes.
It's got weird eyes on the side of its head, kind of.
And it's very black and shiny, like it's made out of patent leather.
It's got to be, that does, for it to be so frightening, because obviously everyone thinks the alien monsters are frightening. That must be this universal fear that we as humans can't articulate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It does seem like this is not something that we're conditioned to be afraid of. This is something that no matter what country you're from, if you are of the human race, this is scary and upsetting. And it tells you, get out of the way.
Mm-hmm. It is weird because there's some monsters that are terrifying like that. And then there's some that are ridiculous. And it's, I also think there's something, the fact that that's not a common visual that we've seen.
It's really original.
Mm-hmm.
But it has an insect base, right?
A little. And that really long head, which is just like something you never see before. Like it's a little reptilian, a little insecty, but.
And the monster's skinny. So there's also the envy. You're like, oh my gosh, they don't even
oh my God, I hate you. I hate you.
They can eat carbs. They don't care. They can have sweets whenever they want. They're like, oh, you're a monster. You know what I mean? It's really unfair. You know what I mean?
What was a monster when you were a kid that scared you, Jim? Like, was there one that you remember being like, that is pressing all my buttons and I'm spooked?
There was a movie that I saw. I was probably 11 or 12, and it was about this swamp creature that was next to like where they were building a nuclear factory or whatever, and it created this monster. So it was like nature being corrupted. So it was kind of a bear, and I could probably text my friend and ask what it was called, but it freaked me out. And riding home at night, it would freak me out. It freaked me out for a long time. And the friend that I saw the movie with was completely freaked out. Let me text him and see if I can get.
Were you freaked out because it seemed like there was an explanation for how this happened and it could happen? Is that a part of it?
Yeah, I think that was it. But it's
the logic of this thing existing that you're like, that's that stuff like that.
What were your guys' terrifying things that you were afraid of?
For me, Trilogy of Terror, when I was a kid,
I just watched that for the first time last week.
There was a TV movie called Trilogy of Terror, and there's one of the 3 stories is about Karen Black is in a house and these little voodoo dolls come to life. Is that what it is? I will never watch it again.
She buys her boyfriend you should, because then you'll say, "Oh, that's not so scary."
No, I was terrified of that thing when I was a kid.
Buys a voodoo doll and it chases her around the apartment until she becomes a voodoo doll at the very end. She shows off her teeth.
My friend texted me back. It was called Prophecy. And he said, I'm still scared.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh.
Brett, can you pull the Prophecy monster up, please?
Yeah.
Hopefully Jim doesn't log off in terror when the...
I should watch it. I should watch it again to see. You know how you watch something when you're like a teenager and you're terrified or you love it? Mm-hmm. Like even Purple Rain, like I was like, that's the best movie I've ever seen. And then when I saw it later on, I was like, oh, this is the worst movie I've ever seen.
So Jim, take a look at this monster. This is a guy in a bear costume for sure. You could see that as an adult now. Yeah. But it looks like his muscles are showing in the front of the costume.
Yeah.
And it is gross. I could see how
that thing would upset me because you know what would upset me about that? Because it's like, it's a perverted version. It's like real life has been perverted into that.
It's the uncanny valley because bears are so cute. I think it's a terrible. I think it's something that God did to mess with us, which was to invent this this creature that looks like a giant dog and it walks on its hinders and it's so funny looking. And then you're like, oh wait, I can't pet bears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is crazy how.
Oh, that's gross.
Bears are everywhere. Bears.
Wait, what do you? Wait, Jim, could you expand on the phrase "bears are everywhere"?
They are everywhere. Like we don't realize that. Like we kind of think, oh, there's bears in Alaska. They're everywhere. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there's bears. There's bears in Westchester. There's bears in New Jersey. And what I learned in Alaska, it's the brown bears. Those are the scary ones.
Yeah.
If you're black
bears are friendly, right?
If bears are black, fight back. If the bear is brown, lie down. If the bear is white, say goodnight. That's what I learned about bear attacks. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even know there was that rhyming. You're like a bear expert.
Well, it's very helpful when you're being attacked by a bear to remember this helpful rhyming sentence.
Prophecy, it freaked me out. And it is... To this day, like the woods are pretty scary, right?
Yeah.
By the way, for all humans, the woods used to be scary. Like in Asia, they were fighting tigers. Not that long ago, which seems insane.
Well, if you step into the woods, you're basically stepping into a ring. I mean, you're basically saying, I'm here to fight. I'm willing to be eaten or else I'm looking for something to eat.
Yeah.
Do either of you guys think this is terrifying? Like when you're in Florida and there's
the answer is yes.
Alligators
that one.
Everywhere. You're like, shouldn't I just feel like they're like, oh, don't go down there. There's alligators.
No, alligators should be illegal. They look like it looks like H.R. Giger drew them.
Can we wrap it up on alligators?
I completely agree. They should have been extinct like thousands of years ago.
You're going to get so much hate for that. I'm sure there's people that are like, but we need it for the whole circle of life. But like, it just seems like
they are monsters.
Dangerous. Like there's people from the South are kind of like, oh, you don't go swimming in lakes. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't go swimming in lakes? That's insane.
Brett, put alligators on the list.
I want to say this to the listeners of this show, and I'm serious about this. Whatever you do not, and I mean this, I'm not joking around, don't start sending Julie alligators to try to prove a point. I don't want her opening her mail and there's an alligator in it. Like she gets a 14-foot long box that keeps writhing in her apartment hallway.
And I think to myself, flowers, long stem roses.
Somebody got me 14-foot long roses that are clearly moving.
Alligators, I would say they have to be on the top 10, just as monsters go. I think they're up there.
Yeah, alligators freak me out.
And then I wanted to nominate Gossamer from Looney Tunes, which is that monster with the big red hair humps who I identify with. I feel like you want to talk about I feel seen. This is one of my favorite Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
That's Gossamer.
Think fast, Rabbit. My stars, where did you ever get that awful hairdo? It doesn't become you at all. Here, for goodness sakes, let me fix it up. Look how stringy and messy it is. What a shame. Such an interesting monster, too. My stars, if an interesting monster can't have an interesting hairdo, then I don't know what things are coming to. In my business, you meet so many interesting people. Bobby pins, please. But the most interesting ones are the monsters. Oh, dear, that'll never stay. We'll just have to have a permanent.
This is me at the beauty salon.
Now, I've got to give an interesting old lady a manicure, but I'll be back before you're done.
There you go.
See.
So what was, I mean, this was like back when, this is the inception of the anti-ginger movement. The only thing frightening about this is the fact that it's a redhead.
This is my natural color, yeah.
But it's like, did he just project his fear on it, or did this red thing do something weird?
He's trapped in a castle with a evil scientist, and his monsters chase him all over the place.
And he's got those big shoes. He's got like giant, feet also, which is.
If you didn't know who Bugs Bunny was and somebody showed you that clip, you'd say like, well, tell me which one's the monster in this. You'd be like, well, that rabbit clearly has access to dynamite. It's just this monster's just sitting there getting the red guy's getting his hair brushed.
I just have jealousy when I see all that hair. I'm like, I wish I had it.
No, it is very thick.
Yeah,
Gossamer is very thick hair.
So Tom had nominated a Grimace, and we've talked about this on the show before. There was an original iteration of Grimace from McDonald Lands that was much more terrifying than
I put the original Grimace on the list.
And Grimace used to have more arms, Jim, that he started out as a villain in the McDonald Land mythology where he would steal milkshakes.
Grimace had 4 arms.
He still looks a little bit lovable, right? But
it depends on if those are your milkshakes.
I'm telling you, you see how lovable Grimace is. Try to grab one of those shakes back. You see how lovable Grimace gets.
So in that McDonald universe, it's kind of like similar, the McDonald Land Marvel universe, if you will. Mm-hmm. They had wasn't there a McBurglar or whatever? So Grimace was
the Hamburglar.
The Hamburglar. But Grimace was one of the
he was his own thing. He was
like
his
how
own
embarrassed
thing.
I'm so embarrassed. I'm trying to be just like, yeah, I think there was a guy. And meanwhile, I'm just like,
you know all about it.
I know all of it way too well. I'm just like, yeah, no, Jim, I think you are right. There was like a guy with a mask or something. And meanwhile, I'm like, yeah, I gotta readjust some priorities in my life.
So who were the bad people in McDonald's universe? There was the Grimace.
The Grimace was originally bad, but then he crossed over. Mm-hmm. They chopped off 2 of his arms and made him a good guy.
Yeah. There's Captain Crook. He was more of an anti-hero, though, kind of straddled the line between good and bad.
And Jim, if you've never heard of Captain Crook, you're not the only one. But Captain Crook is Brett's favorite.
Pirate.
He was Brett's favorite character. He, I guess, was in charge of the fillet of fish, or it was.
He was also one of the. There was a lot of theft-based characters that just stole things. He stole fillet of fish.
Comic books that exist for this? Or you guys just like, you guys could be making this up?
We make our own.
Jim Gaffigan, there was a Captain Crook.
Pretty much. Yeah. And the kind of thing
that dumb guy believed everything.
Lie, see how long you can, see if we get you to spread the lie.
The world's worst prank show. It's like this really long con.
I do know there was Mayor McCheese. So Mayor McCheese, he wasn't a bad guy. Were they all bad?
Well, here's the thing.
Look, I
they
would
have
say,
a mayor, and then you had the cop, which was Big Mac. And Mayor McCheese and the cop were clearly brothers.
Yeah, there's clearly, it's not unlike the way this new mayor of New York put his brother in the one slot.
Yeah.
Like the way it's just like, you hire your family for the job. So the mayor gets in.
That's the cop on the far right. That's Big Mac.
Oh yeah.
And then Mayor McCheese is on the far left. And who's that old guy waving? Who's that? Is that Grandpa? What was Grandpa's? He just sold black
that's actually
coffee.
just that's actually a McDonald's customer, one of those old guys who goes in and just gets a cup of coffee and reads USA Today for 4 hours at McDonald's, at every McDonald's everywhere.
Uses the bathroom.
Like McDonald's, the McDonald's economy, it's like, they're at these board meetings just like, look, we got one thing, we can't close this loophole somehow. These old guys come in, they buy a 49-cent cup of coffee, they sit until noon at our place and read a USA Today that we provide for them, and they're clogging up tables.
Yeah, but they'll be dead soon. I mean, the turnover rate's got to be immense.
What are those fluffy things underneath the
Those are called the fry guys.
Yeah.
The fry guys. And are they made of fries?
No, but that's such a good question.
Yeah.
They're like pom-poms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It really captures. So Captain Crook was just a ripoff of Captain Hook. So the timing of this was.
They were sued by HR Puff and Stuff. Who's not related to HR Giger. And they lost. So they had to give HR Puff and Stuff a lot of money because this really does look like that.
Wait a minute, HR Puff and Stuff. What was that the one where they were in the dune buggy?
Well, yeah, there was Land of the Lost, and then there was Lidsville, and then there was, what are the other shows that they did? Sid and Marty Croft.
Yeah, well, speaking of them, we did get a nomination for Sigmund and the Sea Monster.
Yeah, I would put those. Sigmund's brothers freaked me out like nobody's business.
Ah!
Not Sigmund necessarily. Look at those creeps.
Yeah, I don't like them.
They were mean.
They look like they look like they know the Mucinex mascot.
You ever get asked to do like the voice of like a character like hey Jim, we're thinking maybe you could be the voice of the snot for the Mucinex. Like what things come across your desk?
I think I did a Parquet commercial with Al Franken where I think I played Butter.
Okay.
But that's I also played a sheep in a Corona commercial.
Okay.
But it's weird. Here's an interesting thought. What I think is interesting is that now that gambling is completely embraced on all networks, does like the thing is when I used to make my living doing commercials, there was this whole like, obviously you wouldn't do a cigarette commercial, you wouldn't do, like people would sit there and go like, do you want to do an alcohol commercial because it was, there are people that were struggling with it. Do you want to be? But it seems like gambling, everyone's like, even though all of us know people that struggle with gambling addiction.
Yeah, no, right now it's sort of unavoidable. I don't know if there was a gambling lobby that just like had a huge win or something, or.
And, I love performing at casinos. I just think it's interesting. Like there's like Ben Affleck, all these people are in these gambling commercials. And I'm like, and, like you'll see social media, they'll go after like, Matt Damon for doing a crypto commercial. And I'm like, well, what about, I don't know. Again, it's like, I'm not Matt Damon getting like, if you work for a day, we'll give you $10 million. So it's like, maybe he didn't counter that. I'm not saying I'm someone with principles. That's what I'm saying.
Well, Jim, you should see some of the things that the podcast network we're on bring in front of us to see if we'll advertise on this show. It'll be like, hey, there's a professional Russian roulette league. Any chance you guys want to do thing?
There's an Uber service where it's like a teenage boy and you ride him to whatever destination you're going to.
It's just like, are you comfortable with this being on the show?
And we'll give you $50. You're like, all right.
And we're just like, okay, yeah, sure.
So I've got a bunch of maybe we do a little lightning round here, and you tell me.
Let's
tell me if these are top 10 caliber or not. Maybe they don't make the top 10 in the final result, but top 10 caliber or not.
Okay, let's go.
The Philly Fanatic.
Yes. No. Can we see a photo of him?
I mean, is he a monster?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
What else could he be? I like the Philly Fanatic because, and I've said this before, it looks like something that Daniel Johnston would have drawn.
Sure. No, I'm not against Philly Fanatic.
Yeah.
And he's got that little alien type mouth.
No sense whatsoever, but that's fine.
Right. Okay.
All right. The Bride of Frankenstein.
Yes.
Yes. Iconic beauty.
Monster-in-Law, the Jane Fonda movie.
No.
No.
I don't even know that one.
It's where she played J-Lo's like mother, and like J-Lo's gonna get married, and Jane Fonda was like, not so fast. And I know this from the poster alone.
Mm-hmm.
The Babadook.
Oh,
sure.
That's an amazing movie.
Yeah. Babadook.
I like
That's
the
an
Babadook.
amazing movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A can of Monster Energy drink.
No.
I've
I
never had
suggested it,
what have you ever
vetoed it.
had have you ever had that, Jim? Have you ever tasted Monster
I
Energy
think-
drink? What does it taste like?
It's just like a Red Bull, right? Isn't it?
Mhm.
So it
It's like
tastes a little
liquid
like
Smarties. It's like if somebody
gross.
puts ground up Smarties in
a
and
candy that you
liquefy them.
can't even give
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
The Metallica documentary, Some Kind of Monster.
Yes.
Yeah, I would put that on there.
I would put the band Metallica on there. They're monsters.
I'd put that therapist on there in that movie,
Yeah.
the band therapist,
Phil Towle.
Phil
Yeah.
Towle, who's trying to, who starts like
lyrics.
pitching song lyrics. Did you ever see that movie, Jim?
No, no.
It's
an
so
amazing
great. Oh my
documentary.
God. You got to see it.
Like
You
the
gotta
band,
see
they've
it.
been around. There's this story. Metallica's around for 20 something years, and they're just like, we're all fighting and we're not getting along. And
They have to
so
put an
they
album
hire
out.
this. Yeah, they got to work on an album. So they hire this kind of this therapist who helps entertainers
group
through.
therapy.
Yeah, so he does group therapy with them and becomes so entrenched in with the band, sitting in the studio with them all the time. He starts pitching song lyrics, and then they show these moments where the band, when the therapist isn't around, and they're just like, what's going on with this guy? I think
And
he
then
thinks he's in the
yeah.
band now.
And then they try to
What are we
fire him,
gonna
and
do?
he's like, I really don't think it'd be good for you to fire me. I think that is the opposite of what we need right now.
Yeah.
It's such a slippery slope. I've been in therapy. You go to therapy, and there is that, everyone could fall victim to the Brian Wilson thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Eugene Landy.
Dr. Eugene Landy, who kept like swatting hamburgers out of his. I saw that movie where Paul Giamatti played Dr. Eugene Landy. The whole movie was just him swatting cheeseburgers to the ground. If you're a cheeseburger or you like cheeseburgers, you should not watch that movie. It'll upset you too much. He'll be like, get that cheeseburger out of your hand. To poor
He's
Brian
the
Wilson.
opposite of the hamburger, right?
Yeah.
Well, he would snatch hamburgers away, but he wouldn't eat them. He'd just
That'd be
slam
the
them
ultimate
to the ground.
battle. Julie, that might be
Right.
the ultimate battle. Eugene Landy versus the Hamburglar. A pay-per-view.
Where they work in tandem, which is the
Yeah.
Hamburglar steals them, and then Eugene Landy throws them on the ground.
And while you're watching that, meanwhile, they're robbing your house. They get you to look this way, and that's how they get you. It's a classic
Before
misdirect.
you miss, Captain Crook is fucking your wife. Before you know it.
Michael Alec, a.k.a. the Party Monster.
No, he cannot be on our list.
No.
He's not welcome in our community anymore.
You mentioned this before, Julie. Eileen Wuornos or the movie
Yes.
Monster or some version of that? Okay,
I'm
great.
going to say, yeah, she did what she had to do. I mean, it was a tough time.
She
a tough
did
time for
what she
her.
had to do. You mean murder people?
They were Johns.
You know what?
They were Johns.
Exactly.
She was fighting the patriarchy.
Yes. I saw somebody wearing a t-shirt with her on it, and it said, "I'm with her." And I thought, how much is that t-shirt? And I said, don't do it, Julie. But I did.
But
I remember thinking that's a
one of
cool
those
shirt.
movies where that's one of those movies where it would be interesting to watch today. Because is it as great as we remember it? Obviously, her performance was amazing, but
Yeah,
were
her
we
performance
just so
were-
excited that she was
The one
this
where-
beautiful creature that looked
Right.
so ugly.
The one where she's still thinner than me, that performance.
Yeah. That's
Where
always the greatest one.
I would literally kill to fit into a pair of Charlize Theron's her Wuornos jeans.
Yeah.
I would kill more people than Eileen Wuornos killed in real life to fit into Charlize Theron's wardrobe from the movie Monster.
You know what's going to happen? What's going to happen is that like probably like a week before we all die, they're going to be like, we figured it out. We figured out how you could eat whatever you want, and you'll be as thin as Calista Flockhart. It's like, I'm like, but it's going to be like a week before we die, and they're like, sorry, it's going to be in mass production in about a year. Really,
the only clothes you wear are your own bed at this point of your life.
We're all like, by the way, in that movie WALL-E, like all the humans played. I think it's Jeff Garland does the voice of like one of the humans. It's like I look at that, I'm like, I'm maybe like a year away from one of those people in WALL-E, where like I have to go around in a cart. That's the future for me.
Any other final ones?
Oh, yeah, a couple ones here. Monster trucks. What do we think of monster trucks?
I don't like them. They're too loud.
All right. What about Shrek?
Maybe Shrek 2.
The Cenobites from Hellraiser.
I love the Cenobites. They're so cool. They're weird, like BDSM weirdos. I like them from Hellraiser.
Hellraiser.
Yeah, Pinheads and the Cenobites. This one's called Yummy Yummy.
This is a tough one for us and Double Threat. The Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, put him on. We can't get the Crypt Keeper. This guy, the guy
Jim,
who does the voice of the Crypt Keeper.
by the guy who does the Crypt Keeper. Brett booked him on the show.
We were trying to get him on the show.
Up.
Yeah. We did a full episode where we're just like, today's the day the Crypt Keeper's booked to call in. And he's going to be on the show. And this guy we were like, oh, he's 5 minutes late. And like, okay, well, now he's 10 minutes late. And we just sat here for an hour and a half waiting for this guy to come on the show.
Was there some miscommunication? Were you dealing with the Crypt Keeper's assistant, or what was?
I was. This is
you hear that sigh, Jim? Did you hear that sigh that Brett
opening
just
up
made?
A can of worms here? This was. I was dealing with the Crypt Keeper's assistant, but it was very. I'd been months. We've simultaneously There's never been more buildup for a guest, and we've never been stood up before. So it was an interesting combination of like the most buildup we've ever had for a guest, plus the only time we've ever been stood up. But I tell you what,
Brett was also.
I got a paper trail longer than
Brett was communicating. Get this, Jim. Brett was communicating with the Crypt Keeper by buying cameos.
But that was at first, and
so
then he got legit. Then he got a legit connection.
Yeah, he would buy a cameo and be like, "Hey, I'm paying for the thing. Hey, do you want to come on the show?"
And he'd be like, "Not really."
And so it's now I want to see an episode with the Crypt Keeper. Why is he? He's somebody?
He's banned. He's banned. Now he's.
This is what I would say. This is what I want to do now. He's off season now.
Eccentric guy? Is he?
I think he's just an actor that got the wrong date. Honestly.
I think. Yeah. Look,
we've decided to take it personally, and
yeah, it was a conscious choice that we were going to take this as a huge slight against us rather than a scheduling mistake.
Not on our end, though. Not on our end.
No.
If I'm being generous, we tried to book him around Halloween. That's his busiest time of the year.
But now
that's generous. That's a generous,
Now we should say, hey, it's January. Yeah, not so many people knocking at your door in January, huh, Crypt Keeper? Yeah, a little quiet over your part, huh? Now you want to come on the show, and then we flake on him. But we wouldn't. We'd be still just like, he'll still stiff us a second time.
You guys, the romantic relationship you have with the Crypt Keeper, there's something going on there.
No,
what is that a reflection of? Right.
All right, here we go. Last, I'm gonna read a big list of final nominees.
Lightning itself. Jim's a busy guy. Brett, Jim's busy.
Jim's a busy guy.
All right. What I was gonna suggest is I'm gonna read a big list, and you each get to choose one to go.
Okay, that's how you do it. Is that good?
Okay.
And then when we stop, once we all pick.
All right. So here's the list. Remember the ones you like. Godzilla, the Fred Schneider song "Monster," the ice cream from the stuff from the stuff. The Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Wheelers from Return to Oz, REM album Monster, Toomgus, who's the monster in the AM/PM commercials, Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors, the Cookie Monster, Rocky from Rocky Horror Picture Show, Chud, the guy from Pan's Labyrinth who does this with his hands, the Pale Man, and the Green Monster, at Fenway Park.
the wall, the home run wall is what you're saying. Like that's one of the monsters on our list.
What's that? What can I see what that is?
It's a wall, Julie. It's a wall that the baseballs have to go over.
Also, there's the green monster, which is envy.
That's true. Yes.
Oh,
well, I think envy
by
needs to make the list.
Marianne.
Yeah.
What is this?
This is the green monster.
That's it, Julie. Right there. You see the picture of that wall?
Yeah.
That's the green monster.
It's a wall.
That's it.
Am I missing something?
It's an extraordinarily tall wall.
Kind of thing?
It's a very tall wall.
Yes.
So,
but still a wall.
All right. I don't get it.
If I have to pick, I'm going to say Cookie Monster. I just think that it's tragic that what if I went on an anti-PC rant? No, I think it's sad that because of Biden, now the Cookie Monster can't eat cookies.
I can't get these cookies in the store.
How Cookie Monster is now kind of interested in vegetables, which I think is like, it's okay, but like the Cookie Monster that I know and love, which lives inside me, is the real Cookie Monster.
So you pick Cookie Monster.
I was going to say Cookie Monster too. So now I'll have to think of another answer. But I agree, Jim. I think that is the most. I just have never identified with a fictional character the way I do with him.
Right.
Except I will say very few cookie crumbs fall out of my mouth when I'm going to town.
No.
Yeah.
For someone who loves cookies so much, he's never good at eating them. He seems to go all over the place.
His enthusiasm.
Yeah. And I'm sure he ends up getting some down that throat.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I also like the fact that his monster suit is very loose fitting. It's very, you know what I
seems
mean?
very comfortable.
Yes, exactly. We talked about that. Can we look at while Tom is answering? Can we find the video for that Fred Schneider song?
Yes.
There's a monster in my pants and it does a nasty dance. When it moves in and out, everybody starts to shout.
Okay, so that's my vote, is the monster in Fred Schneider's pants.
Okay. Yeah. I think that might.
It is like, that is so nail on the head, but like in today's, WAP, it is so subtle, right?
Well, my theory is that WAP, the Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion collab, there's no difference between that song and My Ding-a-Ling. I'm sorry, there just isn't. People back in the day are like, he's singing about his ding-a-ling. And then these old people today say, Cardi B and this and that. I'm like, what's the difference? Nothing.
Yeah.
My pick for the list is Jim's special Comedy Monster on Netflix now. It's so funny.
Nice.
And it also, I will say this, we're not going to suddenly start doing inside comedy or anything, but it's nice to see that this is where you're at now. And it's an exciting version to watch your act and your persona evolve to this point. And but the special is still incredibly funny, but you put more of yourself into them in very subtle ways, which I think is very exciting to see.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Much appreciated.
Yes.
I'm going to watch it later tonight.
And we appreciate you coming on the show.
Well, thanks for having me. This has been fun. Now I have to get back to my steakhouse. Here I am.
Yeah. You're in the weeds over there?
Well, there is some level of chaos that I have to dive back into, but it's all good.
Okay. Well, thank you for making the time. We do appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
We love you, Jim. Bye.
Bye.
You want to? We got 16 finalists here. You want to narrow down this list real quick? Get the top 10 of all time.
Can you put it on the screen?
Yes. So here is our final nominees for the top 10 monsters of all time. We have the Xenomorphs from Alien, as designed by H.R. Giger. We have the bear from Prophecy. Alligators.
Yep.
Gossamer from Looney Tunes. Grimace from McDonald Land. Sigmund's brothers.
You could ditch them if you want.
Yeah,
we got to make some ground up here.
The Babadook, Bride of Frankenstein, the Metallica documentary Some Kind of Monster, the Philly Fanatic.
We can get rid of the Philly Fanatic. He's maybe he's not a monster.
Yeah, no, but it's look, he would rank, but maybe not top 10.
Yeah.
Eileen Wuornos.
I think just Eileen Wuornos is not going anywhere. She's staying on.
Staying on.
Pinhead and the Cenobites from Hellraiser.
Get rid of them. We've already dedicated a T-shirt to them dressed up like the Archies.
Yeah.
We don't want to get
rid of the Crypt Keeper.
Please, come on, please.
I'm surprised he even made this.
Traction.
I don't want to look at his name.
Cookie Monster, the Monster in Fred Schneider's Pants.
Yep.
And Jim's Special Comedy Monster.
But get rid of alligators. I get what he was going for. But
now that he's gone, let's get rid of everything he contributed. The Bear from Prophecy.
Yeah, get rid of that and get rid of the Bear from Prophecy.
I liked that he had that the Frankenstein from Penny Dreadful, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Bride of I think Frankensteins are represented by Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah. But I think it's funny to have Jim Gaffigan's contribution be like the Penny Dreadful version of Frankenstein.
Look, I think that's the perfect list right there, that his special can be at the final one, but is like 11th.
Yes. Yeah. That is the inspiration for the list.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm still going to pitch that we swap out the Bear from Prophecy with...
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I don't know. You want to take another look at this Bear from Prophecy? This thing scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, but then put him next to, what's his name? Rory Kinnear.
We could put that with Bride of Frankenstein here. As a twofer.
Rory Kinnear's Frankenstein. And it's spelled Franking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Stein. Frankenstein. Yeah.
And a real quick ranking of these, or is just everybody? This is just the top 10.
I'm fine
Number
with
one.
the top 10.
Okay.
You can do ranking.
Number 1, Eileen Wuornos. Number 2, Cookie Monster. Number 3, Gossamer. Number 4, Grimace. Number 5, the Frankenstein duo. Number 6, Metallica. Number 7, the Fred Schneider Pants Monster. Number 8, the Babadook. Then the Giger Monster after the Babadook.
Sure.
And then what's left?
Bear from Prophecy.
Fine. I'm gonna lose this one.
Great. There it is.
And then Comedy Monster.
Yeah, number 11.
That's a great list. That's a really,
Yeah.
I'd say definitive. Yeah, that's a great list there.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Brett.
And thank you for listening, and thank you for knowing that we are the podcast that is on Eileen Wuornos' side.
Yeah. Yeah, we are the podcast that's on Eileen Wuornos' side. That's us.
There's 2 sides to every story. Which side are you going to be on?
I know. Well, like the Flesh Tone said, Julie, I'm on the right side of a good thing. And that's Double Threat.
And we want you to know that we'll be back next week and that you can rate us on iTunes. Is that where people rate us? That's the important place where they rate us, is iTunes, Brett? Seriously?
Yeah, give us a rating on iTunes. We got a lot of great ones on there, but go on there, distinguish yourself. Do a really interesting review that'll stand out from the crowd. Maybe we'll
but
read
not
it on the
interesting.
show.
Don't get interesting with that rating. Get interesting with what you rate.
Give it a positive rating and then insult another podcast in your review.
Yeah.
And you can check out our merch on TeePublic. Click on the link in the show notes or go to teepublic.com/store/double-threat. Make sure to follow us at Double Threat Pod on Twitter and Instagram for all sorts of fun stuff that goes along with the episodes. And that's it. That's how you can support the show. And share it. Tell all your friends about it, please.
Everybody, thanks for listening to Double Threat. We love you. And we'll be back next week.
Next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Forever Dog.
This has been a Forever Dog production. Executive produced by Brett Boehm, Joe Cilio, and Alex Ramsey. For more original podcasts, please visit foreverdogpodcasts.com and subscribe to our shows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Keep up with the latest Forever Dog news by following us on Twitter and Instagram, @ForeverDogTeam and liking our page on Facebook.